What is going on, people? A full house tonight. So welcome to Matic TV, everybody. It's Tuesday. We've got Europa League this week, but we've got plenty to get through. We're going to touch on the game shortly. We're going to look at some transfer news. We're going to look at our speculation about certain contract extensions, the Glazers mainly tonight, and where this club is going. I've brought on a fresh panel. I've not had Keen on for a couple of weeks. I've got Jamie, who's back for the second time, and Doug. We've not heard from Doug for a while, so I thought I'd bring back G-Sung Doug into the equation so you can get some fresh perspective on everything that's going on at United right now. Before we start, guys, just want you to do three things for me. Hit that subscribe button just next to the follow me and Jamie there. Give the video a like and obviously share the video. I want to get as many people involved in this conversation as possible because it is a very touchy subject, this one, as I found out with a reaction from something that was posted of me and what I said on another channel only this week. It happens, people. You can't please everyone, but I'm going to break it down. First of all, guys, Keen, are you good, my man? How's everything over there in Ireland today?
Unreal, Adam. Thanks for asking. The weather over here in Ireland, it was like a proper summer's day over here today. So I've been out playing football all day. So I'm just absolutely glad to be home. And
don't curse it, mate. Don't curse it, mate. Don't curse it.
Now, look, it's still clear evening out there, so it's still lovely.
Yeah, that's it. As long as the sky stays clear, mate. Cold night, but as long as the days are warm. Jamie, how you doing, my man? In the middle of moving house there, mate. Just doing what you can, mate, to pop up a screen for us tonight.
Yeah, on my phone tonight, mate. So appreciate you having me on. A little bit of a shell house at the moment, so it's nice to keep myself busy because I've got boxes everywhere and I'm picking my clothes to go to work out of boxes. So nice and sunny in Newcastle today, which we don't get a lot up here. So
very
taking advantage of it from the office window, mate. You know how it is. Not all like Keen, sort of going out and playing football with his pals. Some of us are at work.
That's it, mate. That's exactly it. I mean, we've all had them echoey houses before, mate. You're just advertising the whole move situation right there, mate, in your house, because I've been there many times.
It's a bit echoey, mate.
No, it's bang on. And Doug, how's it over there, mate? Still cold, you said, over in America at the moment?
Yeah, living and breathing. We're thriving over here. Excited to talk shop with you boys and get going.
That's it, mate. Always forever working. G-Sung, how's lockdown life over there, mate? Any sort of light at the end of the tunnel right now? Sports are coming back. You were just saying off air now, and looking like a bit brighter prospect ahead now, mate.
Yeah, here on the East Coast, I mean, we're kind of heading back into springtime, so temperatures are picking back up again, and then we're actually kicking off our 7v7 futsal league on Thursday here in the capital. So excited to hit the pitch again and get the ball rolling.
That's it. And I'm plenty in the comments already. Do get all your questions across tonight, guys, if you can. We'll try and get as much in as possible. But just wanted to touch on the start of this video. Obviously, I went on the football terrace, said my piece the other day after the West Ham game, which, guys, come on. You can say what you want and say whoever's biased, but the game was crap. It was a horrible watch. Let's not kid ourselves, people. It was a good win, an important win for our top four aspirations. But in all, I got asked the question, and I was talking about where we're going with Ollie and this team at the moment, and I'm looking at the contract extension situation more than ever. The title of this video is The Glazer Glory, and it is all about what Ollie and his team will bring for the Glazers. I don't think the fans come into it. I'm just going to get your opinions on it. Doug, I'm going to come to you first on this one, mate. We've not spoke much recently, mate, so you're going to give me a complete, fresh outlook on this, and I don't know what you're going to say on it. I've spoken to a few other people regarding it, but the speculation is Ole looks pretty much nailed on now for a contract extension. 2 or 3 years, possibly. 9 million a year. Oh, dearie me. I mean, he's still got another year to go after this season, mate. Where do you stand on the Ole, first of all, getting this contract? Does he deserve it? And then where do you see this in terms of how the Glazers are looking at this, in terms of why they're giving Ollie this contract extension, if so?
Yeah, I think it's important that we don't do anything rational or irrational by giving him the extension now. I've heard it across the board, and I think it just makes sort of logical sense to lock that thing in potentially at the end of the season. Not right now, because I think there's still a lot that he has to prove through the season. Like, we still have to get top 4. It's looking better after the results against West Ham on Sunday, but it's still not nailed in exactly. We are still in 2 cup ties, so, Europa and FA, so can we get it? I think that still needs to be proved. If we hand him a contract extension now, I think you're just kind of letting him off the hook and not necessarily telling him he has a free pass to do whatever he wants for the rest of the season, but the pressure's sort of off him, which I don't like, because I think if there is one thing Solskjaer has proved, if the pressure's on him, he typically shows up because he understands that there's something that's potentially going to be taken from him. So again, I wouldn't do anything with him until the end of the year. That being said, when we get to the end of the year, I kind of jokingly on Twitter said, is an old go win progress? Because I think that's the thing we keep hearing right now is there's progress. And I'm like, is there? Because I remember talking to you, Adam, well over a year ago, and we're still talking about inconsistent play, not doing a great job of in-game tactics and management. Now the big thing this year is his subs have gotten worse, and Sunday we didn't even see any. So it's like, we talk about progress, and if you're talking about progress simply in a one-to-one standpoint of, are we higher in the table than we were last year? I guess you can say that's progress. But can you say that there's progress been made on the pitch? I think Martial's gotten worse this year. I think Rashford's gotten worse this year. I think Bruno's become more inconsistent, which I think is down to a lack of tactics and a lack of style that is consistent. I'm not saying we don't have any, but we're not consistent. And so I think the team has probably not progressed as much as we wanted to, although we are higher in the table than we were at this time last year. So I think there's just a lot of unknowns with Solskjaer, and I just wouldn't go and hand him a contract right now and say, you've earned this. I want to see at the end of the year, where are we at and what have we accomplished?
Yeah. And people, when I say I want more, and when people say I'm being negative, I don't see it as being negative. I see wanting better and more as a positive. I'm just not settling for this. I want more. That is my positive. That's how I look at things. I mean, Jamie, mate, is it a case of on paper, this is progress, like Doug said? Because if you look at it season on season while Ollie's been here, you can argue the point it is progression. It is. But is this a case of that's all that matters to the Glazers, what's on the paper? Whether it's the spreadsheet of the finances, whether it's just the spreadsheet a la the league table in the football sense of it, because I think that's all they care about, because all they see is a position in the league, a position in a cup, and how much money that brings. So is it a case that the Glazers are looking at it primarily and only that we're second in the league, and that is going to bring the financial reward to what we all know is going to bring?
Yeah. I think you've nailed it on the head. I don't think their expectations of what they see and what direction they see the club going with regards to success as the same as the fan base. They are probably looking at spreadsheets, numbers, money, finances, that sort of thing, whereas I'm sure I can talk for you boys as well. I don't care about any of that. Do you know what I mean? I want to see a team out on the pitch that's got the right players in the right positions and challenging for titles. I know we've got cup competitions available to us this season, but I'm on Doug's wavelength. Don't give him that contract yet. Not because I don't want him to get it. I just think it's a case of you're rewarding nothing really at the moment. So for me, the reward has to come from for doing something better than you've done. And I feel like where we're at now with the managerial changes we've had, we do have a sense of stability under Solskjaer, which is great. And I think the majority of our fan base want that. But I think there's quite a lot of them out there that think Ollie's going to be another Sir Alex, another a longevity manager. I don't think that's the case. That's just my opinion. I might be wrong. I might not. I might be right. But I feel like as from a fan base perspective, we don't look at numbers and stuff like that. We're looking at on-game performances, like man management, how he's managing the game in play, what sort of players he's bringing into the club. And I feel like we probably expect more than what we're getting, but I do understand there's been mistakes in the past that the board have quote unquote said they've learned from, whereas I don't particularly think they have. They says they were going for a certain type of player now, and more of a rebuild job, bringing in younger players like James, Wan-Bissaka, which is great, but then they go back on it and bring Cavani in. Not sitting here and saying Cavani's a bad player. It's just not what they said we were going to do. So they didn't go for the young boy Haaland, yet they brought in the older guy in Cavani. And Keane will tell you from me being on his platform, I love Cavani. I think he's a great player. I've loved him for his whole career. But that wasn't what they told us. And it just seems like, what message are you trying to get across to us? Are we going in this direction or are we not? And for me, Ollie needs to win a trophy this year. Like finishing third last year, luckily, in my opinion, is great. And if we get second in the league, yeah, that's progression in the league. But for me, we got knocked out of a couple of semi-finals last year. I want to see us go one better this time. And for me, I feel like if we don't win a trophy this year, it'll be a bit of a letdown season. But that's just my personal opinion. Everybody's got their own opinions. I'm sure all you boys have got different ones to me. But that's how I see it. For progression, we need to see it on the pitch as well as off the pitch. And I feel like you were spot on a minute ago, Adam. I don't think they necessarily have the same opinion of what direction we should be going.
Yeah, I mean, key mate, it's like Steven says here in the chat. He says he did not get one player he wanted. Is there a case here that this lack of funding is giving Ole the excuse and giving some of the fans to back Ole in a certain way? I'm not saying backing Ole's wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but some starch and people who are just playing out won't have any of it, even when the football is complete dross, would say, you know what, he's not had the backing. He's not had the full backing. But, I mean, I'll ask you this question, and I don't want to compare Sir Alex Ferguson to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. You can't compare Sir Alex Ferguson to anyone. But do you think the squad of players that we've got now compared to the squad that Sir Alex Ferguson finished with and won the league is any worse right now?
That was a squad that was coming towards the end of its tether. Like, they had a load of players. That was an average team that won the Premier League with 13 points. Like, we won a Premier League with Cleverley and Anderson playing most weeks. Do you know what I mean? We had the brilliance of Van Persie and Rooney up front, which we kind of look at it now. We have the brilliance of Bruno and like Cavani. Do you know what I mean? It's kind of similar in that regard. We had an Asian Ferdinand and Vidic at the back. We had Evra. We had a lot more experienced players that we have now. But in terms of quality, in terms of where they're positioned in the league, I think Sir Alex had the ability to get more out of the squad. Ollie doesn't have that ability to squeeze that extra bit out of a team. Like Sir Alex had also had a lot of great coaches around him. Ollie doesn't have good coaches around him. That's his own fault because he's the one who recruits his coaching staff. Like I think, like as much as I can make an excuse for Ollie doesn't have this around him, he didn't get his players. At the end of the day, there's a lot of players that he's persisted with in the last 18 months, like the likes of Fred in midfield. When you could have played Paul Pogba in midfield, you're playing Paul Pogba wide left. Do you know what I mean? That's not his position. You look at other things he's doing, like Donny van de Beek. He hasn't played enough games this season. Like his management of Donny van de Beek has been very, very poor. Now, I know he's injured at the moment, so you can't really say that he can play now. But there's been games this season where they've been screaming out for an influence in midfield. So when you look at both situations, I think Sir Alex's team, where some positions in the team were average, he still had a lot of winners in the squad. Sir Alex had a lot of winners. Ollie doesn't have that. This team's like there's a lot of players in this team who haven't won trophies. So they're two different squads. But I think like if you gave Sir Alex this squad, he could probably squeeze that bit extra out of it. He can get he'd have the resources around him to squeeze that bit extra. So I think that's where Ollie's shortcomings has come, especially within game management this season. It's been a massive, massive problem. Like in terms of substitutions. Fergie was renowned for making substitutions at key points in the game to make a difference. Ollie waits till we're about 2-0 down with 10 minutes to go. That's when we see him pull his finger out of his backside and actually make a substitution, a key substitution. Like, I think when you look at Ollie's situation here, I think it's ludicrous. As much as, like, I'm Ollie in, by the way. Like, I think, like, I support him because he loves the club. And, you know, I know he has shortcomings and he didn't get the players. But, like, you know, I'd like to give him a chance. But I think it's absolutely ludicrous to give him a contract at this stage of the season, considering when you made him permanent manager of the football club, the form went down the tree. It really did. He had that amazing 3 months when he was interim manager. Then, as soon as he got that new contract to make him permanent manager, we ran out the top 4 race. We got knocked out of the Champions League. We got knocked out of the FA Cup. So you have to look at this situation and say, yes, he's made progress this year by finishing second. The football this season, at some stage of the season, has been very, very poor. But if you give him a contract now, when you look at we're in the quarterfinals of in the last 16 Europa League, and we have a very tough game in AC Milan on Thursday. We have a game away at the King Power at Leicester City on Sunday. And then the week before that, you're like, the club are leaking that they're going to give him a new 3-year deal, $9 million a year. You know what the Glazers want here, lads. They don't even care about trophies. I'm going to be honest with you. They do not give a toss about trophies. They just want the Champions League money. He gets finished top 4 every year, and he'd keep his job. Honest to God. We're becoming, like, when you look at the model of football club in terms of what owners want, it's a similar model to what Arsenal had under Arsene Wenger, where they weren't making progress in the league, but they were finishing top 4, they were finishing 3rd or 4th every season, and their owners were content with doing that every year. We're nearly going in that same direction with our ownership at the moment, because as I've seen the comments there, they're always satisfied with the top 4. That's what it is. If like you look at historically post Sir Alex, anytime a manager has lost their job is when they're either been in danger of Champions League football and been not secured, a la Jose Mourinho, or Louis van Gaal when he finished 5th on the last day of the season. He got sacked. He won an FA Cup, but got sacked because of the Champions League, so it wasn't secured. And David Moyes got sacked when it was mathematically to a certain against Everton that day. The Champions League football won't be secure. So we can talk about trophies all we want. You can talk about Carabao Cups. You can talk about FA Cups. But if United don't get Champions League football, that's the end game for the Glazers. They want that money, and if they don't get that, whoever's manager, regardless Oli, Mourinho, Van Gaal, or Moyes, they're gone at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think, you know what, in terms of the criticism that Ollie's had this season, I mean, he sort of doesn't help himself sometimes, because it's like someone in the comments just put in then, and it's dead true. Today, I think, this season, I think Luke Shaw's become the best left back in England. I think he's absolutely been superb, and that's under Ollie's watch. But then you've got that, and you go, okay, so what's happened to Martial, and what the hell are you doing with Donny van der Beek? And he sort of makes an argument against the good that he does, because he has done good in this team, but I still, for the love of me, cannot figure out what happened with Donny van der Beek this season. The rumours about, we're going to touch on transfer stuff soon enough, guys, but quick one on Doug. It's good that you're with us today, Doug, because I want to just get your opinion on this. I mean, with the Glazers, we all know, and I had Kieran Maguire on, football finance expert. Keane's spoken to Kieran as well many a times before on the Weekly Armchair podcast show as well. And he nailed it down for us. At the start of this season, we knew what United were getting with the revolving credit. It's like an overdraft. We have dipped into that overdraft already. And we've still got more money to go into that. And it's all for running costs. We know that Joe Glazer's taken out money out of the club again in terms of selling his shares, which I think is absolutely criminal. They still made all their dividends payments. Everyone who already said he's going to get money out of shareholders got their money. The only people that didn't see anything back were the fans. I mean, they still owe all the fans from 2 seasons ago. We still don't have a refund for that as season ticket holders. I think they're just going to try and knock that off next season. I'm expecting that phone call any day, by the way, in terms of how we're moving forward. But the Glazers sort of thrive on the sort of NFL, the football, the sporting franchise movement, Doug. And I'm guessing part of that, is there, would you say, an entertainment factor in all of this in terms of what actually is put out on the field there? Is there like a demand from the supporters over there in other American sports? Because I feel like for United to hold their value and attract the big sponsors that they do, yes, corporate stuff and what Ed Woodward does is amazing in terms of getting deals, but surely there has to be an attraction to Manchester United. Or is it just the case that it's a name and they're going to use that name? Because there's been zero entertainment in certain games this season, mate. Yeah, we've had the crazy ones. We all know which ones they are. But without them, it's not been the best watch in the world either, Doug, mate. I mean, is there any part of that? Do the fans really kick up a stink, or is it just they settle for results? Is it very similar over there?
I wouldn't say it's too far off. I mean, nobody likes supporting a loser, first and foremost, right? Like, I don't think any fan of any team wants to see the club, the team that they support, lose. And if you do, I question your mentality. But that kind of feeds into what I was going to say, which is, what is the mentality of the entire club, right? So the Bucks, I think that they sort of have shifted their mentality by bringing in Bruce Arians as a head coach. They brought in Tom Brady, who's, clearly a Super Bowl champion, has the right mentality. And I think there's expectations that come along with that then, right? Like, I personally, if I'm Tom Brady, I'm not going to Tampa Bay as a retirement home. I'm not going there to just finish fourth in the NFC South. I'm going there because I think I'm going to win a championship. They put pieces in place around him, and he was already coming into a good team that was stacked and loaded on offense and defense. So Brady was literally that final sort of piece that brought in another winning mentality. And as everyone saw, they went on to win a Super Bowl. Just for you guys and for the edification of everybody here, free agency just started. The Bucks have made a splash by re-signing a bunch of players from last year to kind of keep that core intact. They re-signed Brady, they re-signed Gronk, a couple other people. They're probably going to sign a couple more people in free agency, and then there's obviously the draft, but they're going to be drafting low anyway, so it doesn't really matter. When it comes to Manchester United, it's stunning to me that the Glazers don't want to make more of an investment, because while Tampa Bay and the NFL teams typically are cash cows here in the States, it's not a global sport just yet, right? It really isn't. Manchester United is one of the most respected and well-known names in the entire world when it comes to sports, not just football. Like, we're talking sports. If you say Manchester United in most parts of the world, people know who Manchester United is. So it's like, as a global brand, why wouldn't you want what's happening on the field to be reflective of the status of the club and the name that it commands, right?
Yeah.
And so it's depressing to see that they don't put forward that investment. And I actually think, like, I don't like the mentality that Ollie's even taken over the last couple of weeks, which is, I think he came out or something came out that he's not necessarily the ones that oversees the training sessions. He relies on McKenna, Carrick, now Darren Fletcher, and the rest of them in Phelan to sort of oversee that. Well, now you're just passing the buck. So, like, Ed Woodward would pass the buck, the Glazers would pass the buck. Ollie's now kind of shifting blame off of him about what's happening on the field. And it's like this whole mentality just sucks at the club right now because nobody has a winning mentality, minus maybe.
And all them, sorry, Doug, all them Bucks, there's no pun intended there. He's not talking about the Bucks either. It's not
those Bucks. No, but like even Bruno, you can see the frustration in his face right now because he wants to win. He is a winner. Like, he wants to win things. He came here to win things. And when he's saddled with McTominay and Fred around him, and he's not getting the ball, and the linkage in play between defense to offense is just terrible, and the progression up the pitch is like lacking. Like, you can just see him game after game now looking defeated every single time. Whereas before, when he first came in, he had like that winner's mentality. Let's go win stuff, and we went on that awesome run when he came in. And now I'm a little worried that he's starting to get beaten down by the club and the mindset of the club. And he's just going to become not necessarily, we won't see the potential of Bruno that we should be seeing, because the lack of leadership to that point right there and the mentality of the club doesn't suit him. And quite honestly, I think that's why we're going to see people like Donny van de Beek leave and Pogba leave and other people want to leave, because they're like, this club has no ambition to win right now. It's to Keen's point, let's just finish top four. Let's just keep making these owners money. Whether we win a trophy or not, it'd be nice if we do, but it's not going to be a big one. It's not going to be Champions League. It's probably not going to be the League Cup. What we might do is, hey, let's wait for all the other bigger clubs to piss out and fall out of like the FA Cup and win that every year. It's a trophy, but it's not like the accolades that we necessarily want.
Trophies.
Yeah, it's so I think that there just needs to be a mentality shift from top to bottom. Now, how that happens, again, I think that really starts with the Glazers selling or new ownership coming in and making huge changes. But at a minimum, my expectation from Solskjaer as the manager is, I understand you're not getting backed, but that doesn't give you the right to also slacken your job. Like, you should be bringing that winner's mentality. You should be getting the guys reared up every game. We shouldn't be starting as slow as we are. I mean, let's face facts. Every game for the last couple months, we've started unbelievably slow, and we look terrible. And it's like, what are we doing? Like, let's get the mentality back. Let's start building a winning culture and demanding excellence from everyone on the field at any given point. And if you're not bringing it, you're subbed off immediately. It's not the 80th minute, to Keen's point. If it's the 45th and you're not playing well in the first half, you're yanked off and you're sitting. We have to have a big club mentality again. We don't have that. It's bad.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it there, mate, right at the start, actually, with the Bucks, in terms of what the Glazers did, in terms of realising what they needed and what had to happen to get them back up there to be relevant again. Because I know that the fans there have kicked up more of a stink than what United fans have ever done. I mean, I've seen the pictures, I've seen the videos, I've watched them all in terms of the Glazers and how they have got the fans in the state that they have. I've seen the boxes and boxes of season tickets being thrown away and being burnt. I've seen what it can get like. The Glazers have turned that around, yes, with help of drafts and how the NFL works, which is what, like I said before, I think they are striving on and trying to get towards with the European Super League. I think UEFA have just bottled on that one and started to look at letting more teams in from every division. It's like a cop-out to say yes, but not say yes in terms of what the big clubs actually want. If it turns out to be 6 teams in the Champions League, then it's sort of making a mockery again. But Jamie, I'll come to you on it next, man. I mean, is that the ultimate point here? The Glazers know American football. They know the NFL. That's one thing we do know. Doug's pretty much nailed that there. It's what they brought up on, what they've owned for a while. They don't know United. They don't know the Premier League, mate. They know the money it brings, and that's why Ed Woodward's in charge of where he is. Do we see any sort of change of tact here in what's been happening with the director of football? And do we think that maybe the Glazers now will accept nothing is going to change anytime soon? We have to maybe put some more pieces to this jigsaw, back Ole a little bit more, especially if they give him the deal, give him some more money and buy real players, mate. And we're talking players of the caliber of Bruno here. We'll get into the transfers soon, but a quick one to you, Jamie, mate. Do you think they actually understand the game and are acting in a way that they really don't in terms of how they're treating the club and what they're taking from it?
Yeah, I think obviously we've been spun before with the saying that they're quite knowledgeable on the game and they like British football and they knew a lot about the club before they purchased it. But like I'm with Doug 100%. He's absolutely nailed it on the head. Like we have a small club mentality at the moment. You look at the way Liverpool, City are being ran. They're being ran to win championships. And for me, being a Man United fan, I've been a United supporter my whole life. And sometimes I get into this mindset of thinking maybe my expectations are too big for where the club is at the moment. Like maybe I should sort of do some soul searching and not expect so much. But like that's not what we're brought up on. We're brought up on having a team going out into the pitch that's capable of winning titles. And I go back to what I said earlier. I just don't think they have that mindset. I think you're right in saying they don't know Man United. They don't know our values. They inherited values from Sir Alex, and they inherited the best manager in the world. And they penny pinched in Ferguson's last couple of seasons. But like Keane said earlier, he had the knowledge to get us over the line. He squeezed every single drop out of that team before he retired. And I still say he retired because he knew what was coming. And it's just been mistake after mistake after mistake. And it's like, I can get that big clubs make mistakes. Every club's done it. I mean, look at Liverpool before they started getting back to normal. They had a nightmare for years until Klopp came in. And it's always a process. And I feel like in our fan base, you can't necessarily judge the process and the foundations of the club without being linked with the Ollie out tag. And I'm like, no, that's not the case. Like, forget the manager. There's a deeper issue and a deeper core of problems at the club that need to be sorted out, and everybody's got to be on the same hymn sheet to be a team of our stature and of our success levels of where we want to be. And it's like you say, I think what Doug was saying about them putting pieces into the right places with the Bucks. I mean, I don't watch American football, I'll be honest with you, but the analysis he just broke down, I feel like I know everything about the Tampa Bay team now, so that was brilliant. But I feel like they tried that and they come in with the attitude of, right, it's not necessarily about winning at Man United. We've got a fantastic fan base. We've got a full stadium. They'll turn up every single week, even if the football's dross, which, to be honest, it has been recently under Solskjaer. I don't think we play the best football under him. I think we're very one-dimensional sometimes. But I feel like they came into the club with the attitude of, right, let's go and maybe try and be the next Real Madrid of England. Let's go and buy the Galacticos. Let's go and buy the big names. And it just didn't work. So I feel like they've probably took stock a little bit and understand that that wasn't really working with the Di Marias, the Falcaos. I mean, they're great names on paper. They might be good on Football Manager, but they didn't do very good when they were at our team. So I do feel like they've got a certain understanding of where they've went wrong, and they're trying to sort of put it into place now. But we're, 4 or 5 years behind the director of football? Like, we're just bringing it now. And I'm happy Fletcher's in a technical role, because I do feel tactically he was a really useful player, and I feel like he's got good knowledge of the game. But the guy we've brought in for director of football, I don't even really know who he is, I'll be honest.
Yeah. That was an internal appointment. That was an internal appointment, someone getting a promotion. Yeah. That's a yes man.
14 years. Yeah, 14
why
years.
Why not we going out for, why are we not go? Yeah, exactly, Adam. I mean, I watch a lot of your content, mate. I watch practically every show you do, and I know you scream about we need the best in class. Gary Neville said it on Sky Sports, the biggest platform in British media. We need the best in class for each role. And if they come out with all this spiel of we want Man United to be the best club in the world, we understand the process. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, I'll buy into that. But now go and get me the best director of football in the world. Now be in the market for the best players in the world. Go out and buy Haaland in the summer. Go and outprice Bayern Munich for Upamecano and bring him to the club. You show me that you want to be the best, and I'll get behind you and I'll support Ollie. And I'm the same as Keane. I'm Ollie in, but I'm borderline sometimes, because I don't really think he's a great manager in game, and I feel like it costs us results sometimes. But you've got to give him the benefit of the doubt. And it's like you say, there's a massive issue at the club. And by what Doug was saying, it sounds like the Bucks have got a plan in place from top to bottom, and then they're winning on the pitch. Whereas I don't necessarily think that's the case at the club at the moment, unfortunately.
Well, I would say this much too, though. Like, it goes to the old adage of like talk is cheap, right? And it's easy to say a lot, but execution is a completely different thing than talking. Yeah. And I feel like what everybody, the last couple of years, there's a lot of talk that comes from the top, especially from Woodward, right? There's a lot of talk. And now with Ollie, where I'm getting with him is it's a lot of talk. Progress. The boys love it. We're enjoying life. We're doing this. It's a lot of talk. But then it comes to execution. And you can say a lot of things, but then if you can't execute on it, then all your words mean essentially nothing. And we've seen that through the transfer window. We've seen them bottle that a lot. We've seen that on the pitch now, where it's, oh, we had a really great practice week and the boys look great on the training ground. Everything looked good. And then we go and look like complete ass for, large portions of a game in games that we should be dominating. And it's like, so what were you guys doing then? Because you talk a lot, but you don't actually show it and execute on it.
I agree with that. It's always the process. But I'm sorry, like, every single time we drop points, and it might be like a mistake that cost us, like the AC Milan the other game, but it's always the same. Chatter from the club. It's these things happen. It's football. It's just unfortunate. I'm like, yeah, but they happen every week. So it's like, what is there nothing on the back of that? Are we just to accept that? Are we? And it's like you say, you can't say nothing about Man United as a club as a whole without being an Ollie outer. And I'm not an Ollie outer. And you just get labelled. It's a difficult one.
Someone came in. Sorry, Key, I'll just quickly. Someone came in and said to me the other day, what you said the other day was complete garbage, Adam. I thought you was an Ollie in. I went, that's just the biggest joke in the fan base right now. If it's Ollie in or Ollie out, it doesn't really matter. All we do is say what we see. And right now, we talked about for half an hour on the Glazers and the way the club is run and that. I don't want to go the whole show on this. So for them people who've asked me if I do things about the Glazers, and I've just seen a comment from Imran as well, saying about the big YouTube channels shouldn't be putting a camera in front of their faces like children. They should actually be doing something. I don't know if you class me as a big channel, but if you do, mate, that's good. Thank you. But as for social media, people getting together, I actually went to the last social media arranged protest outside Old Trafford. And believe me, none of you turned up. It was all social media yab. It was crap. I actually turned up there. I vlogged it. You can actually go down in my channel and look at what happened that day. It was a catastrophe. So I don't know if you're going to say that's me. I'm not having a go at you, Imran, but you are right. We do need to do something. But at the end of the day, talk is talk. This is what social media is. Good to get some opinions across, as poisonous as some of that can be. But at the end of the day, you've got to walk the walk. I did. I got left alone. So, you know what? It's all right saying one thing, but you've got to back it up as well. I thought I did. Not many other people did do, though. So if you didn't know that, then there's a little fact for you. I did turn up. But, guys, we're halfway through the video right now. Do hit that subscribe button just below Jamie there. Look at him there in his empty new house there. Just scroll down from him a little bit and click on that subscribe button because there's loads of content coming up, believe me. And it's exciting, different stuff as well that I'm working on right now. But moving on, Keane, I'm going to come to you first, mate. I mean, we've said it before, Ali doesn't help himself. I think one of the things that he's not helped himself with is the rigidness of, like Doug and Jamie have touched on already, the formation, mate, the tactics, the substitutions. I mean, the double pivot, I think it's here for life, mate, at the moment. And all he seems to be able to do right now is find two people to go into that double pivot. How are we at a stage now where, you know what, we have to look at it and go, maybe change the formation and play one midfielder, mate. Do you know what I mean? We don't always need two. We can change it against certain teams. And is there a shout for this, that this is why Ollie gets some of the stick that he does as well? And we don't want to. But when he doesn't make a full substitution at a time of season when we're playing game after game after game, sometimes 3 games in 7 days, and he's not making a sub the whole game, and he has got players he can bring on there for them positions, can we not change the formation a little bit as well? Can we not mix it up a little bit?
We can. Like you look at even, for example, when Ollie first came in, he played 4-3-3. He played 4-3-3, played Matic, Pogba, and he played with a single pivot in midfield. The reason why I think he plays this double pivot, he's scared from that.
That's the
Spurs
one.
game.
Sorry, I'm just going to bring it up for Mad Red Neil there, mate. We all know the new sponsorship for the Glazers is coming. And I said this the other day. I got a lot of stick for it, but some people laughed. They should just go straight to McDonald's and go all American. Throw out the sandwich, the McFred, make something of it, and make a full-on American big sponsorship deal and go for it. But yeah, it was just my little joke. I was trying to soften the mood, and there I say it. Don't be sarcastic on Twitter, people. It doesn't go down well. Please, God forbid.
I know that too well.
Keen, carry on, mate. I mean, there has to be a little bit of flexibility. You touched on 4-3-3 then when we first started, mate. Seemed to work for a lot of our squad.
Yeah, like you think about this, for example, when Ollie first came in, he played 4-3-3, he played Matic, Pogba, and in the first 3 months, that worked fantastically well. You look at the personnel we have at the minute, right? You look at Fred, can he play as a lone defensive midfielder? Probably not. You look at McTominay, he's a box-to-box, he's not a defensive midfielder. Nemanja Matic is our only natural defensive midfielder who could play that role, but his legs are gone. So I think Ollie, while he's looking at this, he's scared from that 6-1 at Spurs. Yep. Ever since then, we've seen McFred. It's been just a constant this season. We've seen that. What's very important this summer is that Manchester United, we go out and we get a centre defensive midfielder. I think it's so important for us to be progressive next season. Is you go out and you get a Declan Rice, you go out and get an Ndidi, you go out and get someone who's best in class.
You just said Declan Rice, Keane, mate. That must be hurting you, mate.
Oh, no, look, I said this on my channel a couple of weeks ago, right? Regardless of what happened between him and Ireland, right? Look, that's neither here nor there, right? We're shit and we're always going to be shit, right? That's no two ways about it, right? But when you actually look at Declan Rice, he fits that role so perfectly. He's progressive with the ball. He can slot in between the two centre-backs. He can do a play to a Pogba, play to a Bruno, play to a Donny, and he covers ground very well. He's a good tackler. He has nearly everything what a defensive midfielder is. And obviously, look at it, Wilfred Ndidi. He gives you something different. He's a powerhouse. You know, he breaks up play. You know, he's great in the air. So he's very good. You have Zakaria from Mönchengladbach, another player who you can get in there who can play in the single pivot. I think for Manchester United to be progressive, we need a centre defensive midfielder, a single centre defensive midfielder. Yep. Because you look at all the top teams in Europe, Liverpool, Manchester City, Bayern Munich, Barcelona, any of these teams, they play with a centre defensive midfielder who slots in between two centre-backs and always plays like a quarterback. and they dictate. And then you have 2 number 8s who are progressive going forward. 4-2-3-1 doesn't work, especially when you play against a team who's sitting behind the ball and you have 10 players behind the ball. I don't know why Ollie persists with this formation when you play against teams like Sheffield United, when you play against teams like Burnley, you play against teams like Brighton, where you know they're going to sit up with a low block, and you know they're going to be defensively rigid, and they're going to be organised. It's all well and good playing it when you don't have the ball and you're coming up against a City, or you're coming up against, you know, a Liverpool, and you're coming against someone who's going to be attacking you and who probably have more superior players. I think Ollie needs to be more adaptable, and I think that's something he hasn't been in the 2.5 years he's been in the job. So you have to call that into question. Like, why isn't he being adaptable in his role? Like, you even have Donny van de Beek in the squad, right? Isn't a natural number 6, but he's played there for Ajax multiple times and done a good job there, and he's good on the ball. So, and
I agree, mate. There's nothing that Fred's doing that Donny van de Beek couldn't do even better for me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think like he can play that position. And not only that, like you've seen, we talked about this a couple of months ago, Adam, when we played Everton in the Carabao Cup, we played a diamond, we played a single defensive midfielder in there, and then we played Pogba, Van de Beek and Bruno Fernandes in the same midfield. And we tore him to shreds at Goodison Park. We kept the ball and we beat him, you know, in the Carabao Cup. I just don't understand why he persists with Fred. I can understand McTominay because he's improved this season. He's scored a couple of goals and he's delivered in games this season. But Fred just does nothing for me. Fred Burger, Rice, and imagine Ollie takes off Bruno, right? Imagine Ollie takes off Bruno in a game, and then he brings on Fred, and then we've McTominay, Fred, and Declan Rice in midfield. Like, it's like you're going to McDonald's, you get your Big Mac, and then you're like, oh fuck it, I'm going to go down and I'm going to get a rice on the way home as well. Just mix it up
with that one.
That was some comment.
Yeah, that one's going on comment of the night. I mean, moving ahead, someone just mentioned it there, and I'll come to you on this one, Jamie, mate. The English tax, the Brexit people call it, in terms of transfers, buying the English players. People would argue that the English players understand the Premier League, they adapt to it quicker. I would say straight away one name, Bruno Fernandes. Be quiet, because I've not seen anyone adapt to a game as quickly as this man has. So, and they've got a fair point, mate, in terms of moving away, because the name, it's like we said, we mentioned Rice. We mentioned Ben White at Brighton. I mean, I like Ben White. I think he's a good player. But let's not forget, Brighton are going to take us to the cleaners. So too will West Ham. Do we have to do a little bit more work in terms of scouting play? And then I'm not going to slag the club off completely. We brought in Diallo, and he looks like a good prospect. He looks like we've actually done some proper scouting for a change. But in terms of players coming in, I put this question out there before, and I'll come to everyone on the panel with it. I think there's 3 positions that are an absolute for this football club right now. And someone came to me before and said, what about right back, Adam? I went, yeah, I understand right back. I do. He's a good shout, but there's 3 more positions in centre back, holding midfield, like Keane said, and a striker right now. And I put the question out there before. I went, go for it. Hit me on social media. Which 3 players change this team instantly? Which 3 players? I'll come to you first. I mean, shout out to Costa del Manque. Came straight into me on the YouTube stories earlier on. Went Varane, Haaland and Rice. I mean, Jamie, I'll put it to you, mate. If we're going to do a Buccaneers, dare I say it, and actually hit the marker with what this club needs to go forward and what Ollie needs, because he is going to need a few more tools if he's to get this contract.
Yeah.
What are them 3 players, mate? Because do you agree, first of all, that they're the key positions for us? I understand the right back shout, but I just feel like we could cope with that better than the other 3 positions that we're lacking at the moment.
Yeah. I feel like if with right back, we can solve that issue straight away by bringing Dalot back. He'll give competition for Wan-Bissaka. I know Dalot's not everyone's cup of tea, but I quite like him. I watch a lot of Portuguese football, and I actually really rated him at Porto, and it just hasn't quite worked.
And doing well at Milan. Doing really well,
yeah. He seems quite happy there. I think if I was him, in his shoes at the moment, I'd probably look at United's fullbacks and think, nah, I fancy staying in Milan. So we'll see in the summer with that. But he did play well the other night. But centre-back wise, we definitely need a centre-back. We need a centre-back that's comfortable on the ball. I don't really like Maguire going forward too much, to be honest with you. I feel like it's an accident waiting to happen when he pushes over the halfway line and tries to influence the game with his passing ability. He isn't a passing defender. And we need somebody with the attributes of a Bailey, but better than Bailey and more comfortable on the ball. If you're buying a centre back for me, you're going for, like we said earlier, the best in class. And for me at the moment, I wanted us to buy Ruben Diaz, who went to City. As I mentioned a minute ago, I watch a lot of Portuguese football. I really rated him. He just had a Manchester United player written all over him.
Proving you're right, mate.
We didn't get him. But for me, it's and we've heard his name a million times and get bored of saying his name, but it's Upamecano for me. He's got everything. Him or Konate at Leipzig, I think, would be great signings. I like the boy Kwande from Seville, another really good player. Mm-hmm. But it matters. The thing is with United, Adam, for me, and I'm sure the other boys will pick on it as well, it's the style of play. You need to work out what sort of style of player you want before you go and recruit. And I feel like we don't do that. It's all well and good hitting the Rices and the brilliant defensive midfielders, but if they don't, every defensive midfielder can tackle and win the ball back. That's what they do, but they need to have a little bit more in their game if you want to play a more progressive passing game. If you want just an out-and-out defensive midfielder, you're looking in the market for a different type of player. And I do feel sometimes it is a bit of lazy scouting because we're always linked with the same players. Oh, Sancho's done well this season. Oh, Man U want him. It's like, what about the other right midfielders in the world? For the defensive midfielder, I would go with Keane's shout. I'd definitely be looking at Zachariah Mönchengladbach. If it was for me, and you were asking me the question, Adam, I think we need a more deeper playing midfielder that's very comfortable with the ball and can dictate between the lines. I would go for Sabitzer at Leipzig. I really like him. I've liked him for a long time. I feel like he's got everything, and he's arguably Leipzig's best player, and they're one of the most entertaining teams in Europe. Striker's a difficult one because I feel like there's only a certain pool of maybe 3 or 4 that are quality that's going to take us to the level that we want to be at. Obviously, the best choice is Haaland. Do I think we're going to be able to get him? No. But there's that pool of players is very difficult. I like Adrian Silva at Frankfurt. He went to AC Milan for big money from Porto. Didn't really work out for him. He's doing really well in the Bundesliga. He's really good friends with Bruno Fernandes apparently off the pitch, so there could be something in that. I've heard United are looking at him. I do rate him, but it's so hard for a striker to come in and hit the nail on the head straight away at United and crack on and start scoring goals. We've been lucky in the past with some great foreign strikers. Maybe they need to sort of go down a route of trying to pluck a gem out like Chicharito, someone like that, maybe a little bit better. But the names are always the same for the positions that everybody wants. But I feel like we are sort of starting to progress with the scouting of the younger players, particularly. Adam looks a great player. I like the look of Palestri as well. I've watched him playing in Spain. So that for me, we're going in the right direction, but recruitment's been a massive issue in the past. But I say it again, don't want to sound like a broken record, but Ollie needs to work out what formation he's going with longer term, then buy the right players to fit the holes.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, Doug, Jamie touched on it there, mate. I mean, the rumours are flying around at the moment about Haaland, and I love him. I think he's an ultimate striker. But here's the question, mate. Like Jamie just said then, does he fit in the way that Ollie plays football? Does he fit in our style of football right now? Because we don't play with width. We're solely reliant on Bruno, and still you could counteract that by taking Bruno out of the game, because then you're left with what? McTominay or Fred? He's the link up to Haaland. This is the question, mate. I mean, do United go and back Ollie big, knowing that it would more than likely give them consistent Champions League football, and that money could be paid back in Champions League money easily with how much he's flying around right now. But then again, not every player is going to fit this style of football. No matter if they're a brilliant player, it may still not work, mate. We've seen this many a times before with United. Do we have an identity and a style of football to match the player coming in? Do we have that? And do we need that before we go into this window?
Yeah, I think this is probably going to come across as like super negative, so it is what it is. But like this whole thing that kind of pisses me off about us getting Champions League and like us making that as a thing that we should shoot for every single year. Yes, we should. But as we saw this year, what happens? Like you could go to the Champions League and not do well and get knocked down to the Europa League in the same season. So like it's not just about going to the Champions League. It's about going to the Champions League and being competitive in the Champions League and making it to quarters, semis, finals of the Champions League, not bowing out after the group stages. So just making it to the Champions League shouldn't be something that we like aspire to get into. Yeah, that's not enough. That being said, we all kind of touched on it in different ways throughout the show here, but like what irritates me is to identify what we need. I wish we had played a style of football that suited what we wanted to do throughout the year, right? Because with any of the teams that we face, the top teams, you can plug and play someone into a system and they know what to do and they know what their role is and they play consistently. When we keep changing sort of formations or who's doing what, and then we play with the kind of the two holding midfielders, if that's not ultimately what we should or want to be doing, then don't fucking do it. Like, you might lose some more games than you want to, but now you can actually see what needs we actually have and actually plug that person into an already existing style, and everyone kind of gels together because we already know what it is. Now what's going to happen is let's pretend we get a CDM, a center back, and a striker, like we've been saying. Now, over the summer, with the Euros coming up and everything else, and probably a really condensed training schedule again, you're going to have to shoehorn everyone in again. So the first couple games of the season aren't probably going to look very pretty. So results might not go our way. So does that mean we start shifting back because those players weren't actually the right thing we needed? No, but who knows what we're going to do. So I'm really not that big on bringing Haaland in because, yes, he's prolific. Yes, he's a beast. I don't think he solves what we need right now. I would be more focused on Keane's point on a center defensive midfielder who can be the link-up play between Bruno and everyone else. Bruno then becomes, or whoever our box-to-box is, whether it's Pogba, whether it's Van de Beek, can become another creative player to help bridge the gap between defense to offense. I think all of our center backs, minus Bailly, but as we know with Bailly, he can't stay healthy, are questionable at any given moment throughout a game. Now, here's how I can show that I'm not biased, even though I'm not a huge fan of Maguire. I actually gave him man of the match against West Ham because I thought he played really well.
Yeah,
I'm not even that big of a fan of him, but it's just one of those things where we need a center back. You need to build from the foundation, right? And so getting in all these high fancy, attacking strikers and things like that, like a Haaland, he's going to be just as frustrated standing around up top, not getting any service, or having Dan James on the right side, playing in balls when he really shouldn't be. Like, it's just one of those things where I don't think that he solves the need. Now, if we can get all of the targets that we want, absolutely I'd take him. But what's the chances of that happening? Slim to none. So you have to find the pieces that are more important to build towards future. And that to me is a CDM and a center back. Now, who those are, I don't want a Ben White, to be honest with you. I would want, to your point, best in class, top of the line, center back and center defensive midfielder who are going to come in, who are going to change the way that we play. And then we need Solskjaer to change the way that we play and stay consistent with it. And that's why I think the biggest changes that need to be made, if it's true that his coaches are the ones that run the sessions, are his coaching staff. Because if you can't change that, then you're still going to have the same kind of dum-dums running around doing sessions the way they are, and we're still going to look like shit. So I think that he needs back staff changes and then get in the foundation pieces that you need of center back and center defensive midfielder, and then look to build. Strikers are going to be there. They're going to score goals. Yeah, we might have a guy who could get us 40 versus 30 or 30 versus 20. But at the end of the day, if the whole team is gelling a lot better and we're just scoring more goals, it really doesn't matter who the striker is. It doesn't.
That's it, mate. Exactly. It's a fair point. I mean, Doug touched on it there, Key, mate. I mean, best in class. would you even go for someone like Ramos if he became available? I know he's old. Is he that sort of player? Well, we spent the money where we need to heavily spend it, in my opinion, which is the key area, which is that holding midfielder. My ultimate signing is Ndidi. If you offered me one man, it would be Ndidi above any other player right now, because I think he is the one that gives the freedom to the rest of our midfield. You could easily, for me, if you wanted to play a double pivot of Ndidi and Van der Beek with Bruno in front of him, it's a different world. It all changes because you've got one man who can do a two-man job that's with us at the moment in the McFred. That's what it is. Would you take someone like a Ramos like that? People are saying Varane. I don't think Varane is the right choice for us. No. I really don't. Yeah. Because I think he would cost too much. And he's just, I think the best years are gone. You could say that and argue that with Ramos. I know that. But we could get him cheap, free even, I think it is, Ramos, when his contract is there. Or would you try and split that money up in like getting a 40 million and a 50 million rather than going all out for the one position? What I'm trying to say is, would you sacrifice them three signings to get the ultimate best in class in one?
You need a good, I think for me, Ramos would be great, but again, you've seen with Thiago Silva at Chelsea, like the impact he made, like he's been great there. But for me, you need a spine. You need a good spine, and that's the key to any team. Your spine needs to be there. So I think, whereas I think Ramos would be good, I'd rather go in for Koundé from Sevilla. Like he's basically like Eric Bailly, but he's not injury prone, and he's a lot better. And he's very good on the ball, very, very comfortable on the ball, and very progressive. So that's someone who I'd go for. I think for me, holding midfield, you may look at maybe a Rice, and people say Rice will cost you 80 million. People tend to forget there's a man on loan at West Ham who is worth about 30 million pounds, who they'll want after his deal is up, is Jesse Lingard. You go in with 50 million plus Lingard, there's your deal sorted out for Declan Rice. You won't have to pay 80 million for him. You pay 50 plus Lingard for Declan Rice there. Up top, like you have to look at it as well. Jamie mentioned Andre Silva, who was a good player. Obviously, when he was playing in Portugal, didn't work out for him when he went to Milan, but he went to Milan during a transitional period. That was a tough time for him. But for me, I know it kind of contradicts kind of not going all out for one signing, but if you're going to go for a striker, Haaland's probably not going to be available because he's probably going to go to Manchester City because they need that Aguero replacement. Jesus is not cutting the mustard. And we all know the history between Haaland's dad and Roy Keane and the whole United situation. That's another story. But I'm going to throw a curveball at all of you right now. There's a team who are mid-table at the moment. They're in a cup final, but they're most likely to lose. There's a striker who is one of the best strikers in the world at the moment. And this team isn't going to win a trophy this year. And he's probably going to have a good Euros. And he's very good in terms of linking up play. We talk about strikers in terms of linking up play, and they haven't done it. Harry Kane, lads. Spurs don't win a trophy this season. Mourinho gets sacked and they have to go through another transition. Back in the day, Sir Alex Ferguson would go in. There you go, Harry Kane. Absolutely. Sir Alex Ferguson would go out and buy players from rivals to make sure that they couldn't be as good as us. We went to Tottenham, done it with Berbatov. We done it with Aston Villa with Dwight York, back in the day. Why don't you go out and get Harry Kane? Why don't you show that ambition? Now, obviously, like, you look at the money side of things, it would cost a bomb. But you look at the pandemic, the transfer inflation is going to be gone with this pandemic. Teams aren't going to be able to demand this much because every team is in the same situation. If you can't get Haaland, who's the next best number 9 you can get? Kane is definitely most definitely one of them. I think you have to look at that. That would be an avenue if he wants to leave Spurs, if he has any ambition. If he has ambition, then most definitely go for him. If you can't go for Kane, like what other number 9s are out there really at this moment in time who are best in class? Do you know, like who's out there who will be best in class? Harry Kane's 27 years of age. Like he's 27, he's in his prime at the moment. So you have to look at that and say, who is the best number 9 out there? Do you know, in that regard?
That's it. I mean, it's a tough one. A lot of people are saying there that we're not actually going to have any money to spend at all with the way things have gone. That is why Ollie is keeping his job, because he probably won't kick up a fuss and be happy to be in charge of Manchester United. That could well be. I am with what Doug has said and with what Jamie said in terms of the coaching staff. I've said this many a time. I think he does need to bite the bullet and bring in some more experienced, technical, tactical nous and sit that on the bench next to him. It takes a big man to say, I need a bit of help. I know that. But what he is doing at the moment is securing jobs for other people when he may not be there. Because let's be honest, if he didn't ever make the top four, then his job is gone. That is the bottom line. We know that with the Glazers. That is the minimum. You make Champions League or you're gone. It's as simple as that. And Ollie will be the first manager to get back-to-back Champions League qualifications. We are sitting second on paper. It is progression, and we're not denying that one bit. But the progression from this point is where the issue with a lot of United fans is. And the next level of progression is challenging for the major trophies. And have we got what it takes? We got there to the top of the league this season and straight away bottled it. Absolutely bottled it. And it was passed off like it was okay, like we shouldn't be here. It's not a problem. United shouldn't even be contenders for this title. Those words came out of Solskjaer's mouth as soon as it started to go wrong. And it's easy to do that. That is what I'm saying is not good enough as a Manchester United manager. I can see progression. I'm not ignoring it. I'm not. But I can also see that this group of players are still the same group of players that keep failing when it comes to the big occasion. Top of the league, bottled it. Semi-finals, bottled it. It has to change. Whether it will be in a semi-final this season, albeit a smaller cup like Doug said, FA Cup, whatever it may be, that hurdle has to be navigated. And if it's not, then the same questions are going to keep on coming. And, you know, we can only back him so much. At the end of the day, he's had Donny van der Beek to work with this season and not used him. The midfield is now shot, and we're struggling with it. We're getting by. He's just got to, there's things he can do to change it, and that's all we're saying, people. That is it. But we've done over an hour already. I can't believe it's gone over an hour. It's ridiculous. Time flies when you're talking football, especially when you're talking transfers and United and the Glazers. Anyway. That is it for tonight, people. I just want to say thank you to the guests, to Doug, to Jamie, and to Keane. Just give the people a shout out. First of all, Keane, mate, where they can catch you on your socials.
Yeah, so you can catch me on Twitter at Keane_Franey if you want to see me banter rival fans weekly, especially the Liverpool fans. And also catch me on YouTube at the Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast. We cover all things Manchester United over there.
That link is down in the description below, guys, because it is a bit of a mouthful, Keane's one. So just click on that link in the description below. Scroll down. Jamie is also on the Weekly Armchair Kickoff podcast as well, with Keane a few times. But Jamie, just give the people a shout out to your socials as well, mate, before we finish.
Yeah, you'll get me on Twitter at JamMackay1989 if you want to come over, and got a nice little community of people from different clubs on there, so always having good crack and interaction with people. It's a good way of networking and stuff like that. And just on a side note as well, Adam, really appreciate you having me on your platform, mate.
Anytime,
I know I've
mate.
had a little bit of chat with you for a few weeks and I haven't quite got you from one thing or the other, so I appreciate that. And sorry for the echoing if it's come across on the show. Do apologise, house move and all that.
No worries at all, mate. And my man, Ji-Sung Doug. Man, have we known each other around about a year now, hasn't it, mate?
Yep.
And we just dropped straight back into the normal chat. Don't matter how long it is or how long of the gap. But, guys, the football is coming back. Ji-Sung, just give the people a quick shout out to your socials before we finish up.
Yeah, you just said it, Ji-Sung Doug on Twitter. I'm off to go buy a Tom Brady Bucks jersey so I can support the Glazers a little bit more. And, yeah.
Love it. And I said that before then, because hopefully we can get our whole Matic TV community over. At one point when the season of football comes back, we're going to have a big party. Doug will be there. We'll get him over on a flight. We're getting Tim over. We're getting Dave over. We're getting all the Irish contingent over. Everyone. We'll even bring Jamie down from Newcastle out of his new house. And then we will have a proper weekend. But guys, for now, that is it. All the chats, everyone's been bang on. All the members have been superb tonight. Chat has been banging. And all that's left to say is I will see you on Thursday for the game. We didn't even get into the game. We talked about that much else. But it's one of them, guys. If we win it, then I'm afraid we are going to have to take it serious. I say that sarcastically. I'm only winding you up. If we win a quarterfinal, we've got to go for it. If we drop out, it doesn't really matter, does it? We can concentrate on what we've got left, which is the important stuff. But only Thursday will tell. For now, guys, that is us. We are out of here. Take it easy, people. I will see you later in the week. Stay tuned for more content coming up. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button just there, the bottom corner, right-hand corner of your screen. Give the video a like, guys. Share the video. And